And finally, the first episode of the new year 2025 On the Money Sports Mega Powers of Podcasting, back where we belong here at Casa de Money in the On the Money Sports Lounge where the action happens. So glad to be back. We missed you. Ready for another installment of On the Money Podcast here live. What is it, the 8th? January 8th, 2025. The Mega Powers here coming to you live for a new edition of On the Money Podcast, breaking down everything going on. So much has changed since the last time that we were here. We are heading into Wild Card Super Weekend, Super Wild Card Weekend, whatever it's called.
I used to like when it was 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday. Now it's 2 games Saturday, 3 Sunday, 1 Monday,
and a Monday night playoff
and that
game.
Monday game's in jeopardy right now.
And it screws
because of the
over
wildlife
those
fires.
The Monday nighter screws over the 2 teams that get booked it because you have a quick turnaround on a short week's rest if you're the winner to have to go into potentially a Saturday or Sunday game.
Hopefully, just do the Sunday.
Monday night. When did that start?
It started the second year.
Like
I remember 2020, the first year of the 7 teams. 2020, it was 3-3. And then the following year, they did the 2-3-1, which because ESPN wanted it and paid for it. It was stupid.
It's like you don't give us a Monday night game week 18, but then you give us a Monday night wild card week. Chris, yes,
we're back.
Wednesday nights have not been the same. We took a couple of weeks off for health, family, holidays. There was so much happening. There was so much going on. It's a busy time of year. I almost didn't make it here tonight. But, at 0 hour, I texted this guy. He was about to Joey Styles the pod for tonight. And I said, I'm in. I'm in because I missed the podcast. I missed the interaction. I missed breaking down everything that's going on in the world of sports.
It wasn't a bad month. It's just December's such a hectic month. We had Christmas on a Wednesday, which we knew we weren't filming. New Year's Day, I wasn't feeling real good, so we didn't film. Plus, it was the holiday too.
The way the dates fell were just wacky, bro.
Previous to that, I was sick for 2 weeks. I had the flu to start the month of December, so it's
been a rough, man.
It was a rough
everybody's
month.
Getting sick these last couple of weeks.
It's the second Wednesday of January. It's the second Wednesday of 2025. We are back. We are live. We are ready. We missed a lot these last couple of weeks. So we just want to apologize for not being there. This man right here to my right has kept everybody up with the On the Money Sports Minutes that he has done weekly. He is the On the Money Sports Fantasy Football Champion. He won the championship last week with a score of 333.6 to 333.1. He's also the inaugural Elite 8 champion of fantasy. So he is 2-belt Soto right now for the year.
The belt's at home tonight. Belt couldn't make an appearance. I left it, on display where it belongs in the corner bar. Eventually, don't worry, you will get the pic of me holding both belts, doing my Chris Jericho impression. Undisputed champ, closest final of a fantasy Super Bowl ever.
I would have rather gotten blown out.
Money Sports. I thought I was basically getting blown out. Thank you, George Kittle, MVP. Love you. Thank you, Jaden Daniels, for doing just enough to you got me close enough, Jaden Daniels.
Just like the Steelers. I struggled down the stretch as well.
I mean, but a crazy way for it to go down. Danny, return the belt. It no longer belongs to you. Oscar Money, you are the reason that I got into fantasy football in the first place. The league was called the Any Given Sunday League before it was the On the Money Sports League. I've been in the league for 6 years. I've won other championships in other leagues, but you know that this one right here is the one that means the world to me. For me to be able to etch my name in the history books with the likes of you, Jumpin' Jay Fizzle, Danny, Nick, among the greats of the league, for me to be able to have my name among them and to see in the last 5 years, championships won. I did it. I put myself in that elite group. Elite 8 was, a blast. You guys already know about that. Can't wait to run that one back. Redraft season is over. In redraft, we take all our players and throw them back into the pool. And now we are in dynasty season, potentially heading into what is looking like one of the biggest
to the
drafts.
lake of reincarnation.
Like one of the biggest drafts in April for all of our teams. Titans with the number 1 overall pick. Titans getting rid of Rand Carthen. A lot has happened since the last time that we came down here to.
A lot of people
record.
lost their jobs on Monday.
A lot of people were
and today. As we all know, Antonio Pierce was fired earlier yesterday. I have been adamant that I don't feel like he deserved it. I feel like he had no quarterback at all. At all. That team, their 2 best players was a rookie tight end and Max Crosby. That's it.
Bowers.
Those were the two best players on that whole team. That team stunk, and he was still able to get 4 wins. He probably could have gotten 2 extra wins. He probably could have got to 6 wins, but
shout out to
things happen. But that team never quit on him, and they never misjudged him.
Raiders had a fight. Tom Brady, the part owner. What up, Nick? Shout out to Patriots did Jared Mayo dirty. I think he knew what was coming.
I've been reading up on it.
He knew what was coming.
It seems like the locker room didn't like him. Did you see the smile on Christian Gonzalez's face when he was talking about him being gone? Oh, it's a shame. And he's just like this.
The boys.
Like, it sounds like Mayo. I agree. I don't think Mayo was ready either. It just sounds like he alienated everybody. And now you got Ryan Fitzpatrick warning teams about hiring Brian Flores, talking about how Brian Flores was in Miami, about how he was divisive, he alienated people.
And
why would Ryan Fitzpatrick come out his mouth and start saying stuff? Because that's not a guy who's about controversy.
Mayo, I don't think was a good coach. My brother, the one that's a Patriots fan, he hated Mayo, so he was super ecstatic when Mayo got fired. When you look at the Raiders and the Titans, like how undesirable are those 2 jobs right now for anybody that's coming in?
Who wants to be the Las Vegas Raiders coach right now?
There's
nothing there.
Or the GM for the Titans, when apparently we already have a GM who's been pulling strings this whole time.
I failed to get the salary cap stuff because that's me. I love to see what a team's going to play with and their draft picks.
We have plenty of time for that, though.
We got a few their cap situation, I think, is okay, not bad. But draft pick selection, there's no quarter. Like, they're going to have to move up. And I am not a fan of Shedeur Sanders. I'm not. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to translate well into the NFL.
I think Mayo was a minority pick to fill.
Cam Ward, on the other hand, Cam Ward, I believe, will translate the NFL.
I like Ward.
I like
Ward more than
you got people trying to convince Drew Allard, the quarterback of Penn State who plays tomorrow night against Notre Dame, to convince him because he's already said he wants to go back next year. But you got teams trying to convince him, hey, maybe you'll be a top 10 pick. Come on, no. I wouldn't do it.
You want to be a star, don't you?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it. And then you have the guy that I think is under the radar, and I think right now he's projected to be a 2nd to 3rd round pick, but I think after the combines are done, I think his stock's going to rise, and that's Ole Miss's quarterback, Jackson Dart.
Jackson Dart. I've been hearing his name.
I think he's going to rise up, and he's going to turn into a first-round quarterback.
Could he be like the Drake May of this class, basically? A little bit,
possibly, yeah.
A little bit overlooked, but then you realize, okay, this kid ain't that bad.
He's not.
And Drake May himself ain't bad. Like, so,
and I know I follow a couple Steeler guys. The one Steeler guy who's really good on his breakdowns doesn't like him. I like him. I think the kid can be good. But there's not really much to go out there. And the quarterback market, someone's going to pay Sam Darnold a lot of money, and they're not going to get Minnesota Viking Darnold.
There's a good chance that happens, yes. There's a good chance that happens, which is a credit to O'Connell.
I don't think Darnold is going to play as good as he is with Minnesota on other teams, because I think people tend to forget Minnesota is loaded with talent on the offensive side of the ball.
Depends what situation.
TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Naylor, and did I mention who's that guy? Just a normal guy, Justin Jefferson. Did I mention him? And then on top of that, you also have Aaron Jones. That team's loaded on offense, and they have a good line. If he goes to the Raiders, what?
Would you call them the favorites to land Sam Darnold at this point? Just
somebody's going to offer him a boatload of money,
because they can't do Minshew and O'Connell,
and that's a possibility too, Nick. That the rumors are swirling with that maybe the Vikings stick with J.J. McCarthy and trade. I mean, not J.J. They stick with Darnold and trade McCarthy.
Why not? Right? Why let him leave?
Teams are probably going to offer them a first-round pick. It's not going to be one of those top 5 picks. You're looking at probably a team pick.
You got 14 wins out of this guy this year. I mean, and a year where you guys weren't even supposed to be good.
I'd keep him. What? Because he fits the system.
Makes sense for them.
And the players around him are good. It reminds me of Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo, McCaffrey. Brock Purdy on another team is not going to be the Brock Purdy you're watching now. And that's why, I know Brock Purdy came out and said what he said the other day about not being a drama king and he just wants to get it done. He doesn't want to draw attention. It's going to, bud, because they're not going to offer what you think what you want.
Yeah.
They're going to lowball the shit out of you. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to throw the argument that I just said on you.
Yeah.
You're good because of this.
Well, Nick mentioned you've got Justin Fields out there too, as well as Sam Darnold. Those are going to be like
same way receivers go to Tennessee to retire. Ridley wasn't bad this year. Yeah, Ridley was pretty good.
I mean, you know who else was good with Sam Darnold? Jordan Addison. Addison's
a good quarterback. With Kirk Cousins, he was good.
He's better now with Darnold than he was with Cousins, if anything, because Cousins gets
his tunnel vision to 18.
Darnold,
just like Cousins had his tunnel vision this year to Drake London.
Darnold had that Oliver guy being getting reps. He had Naylor being a household name with those deep bombs that we were sitting here in the lounge asking ourselves, who's that? It was Naylor getting these deep, bonus points.
Aaron Rodgers. Maybe Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams go to Vegas together. Devontae says, I'm coming home. Tell the world.
You could just stayed where you were for all that, bro. What a disaster of a situation, bro.
And then he goes and throws those 4 touchdown passes against Miami and got people like, maybe he does still got it.
And there's the week 18 where like coaches and players were just sticking it to people. Look at Jared Mayo and Pierce going out there and screwing up the Raiders and Patriots draft order completely by getting wins, potentially costing themselves jobs. But if you know you're going to get fired anyway, screw it. Go for the win. The difference is the Raiders
paid to
play
win
hard for Antonio Pierce. The Patriots players
and now you got Tom Brady trying to coax Belichick out of North Carolina to come be the coach of the Raiders.
He just got hired.
Nah, bro.
He just got hired.
This man just went into people's homes to get kids to commit. Like, that would be dirty.
Hey,
dirty.
It wouldn't be below him, though, would it?
Nah, he's done it before.
Seen it before on live television.
Took the Jets job. Next day, said I'm resigning. A couple days later, I am the new head coach of the New England Patriots.
Bro. North Carolina football has been waiting for this moment to be able to put themselves.
I don't think he's going to do it. I think he's going to feel offended and shunned that nobody wanted to take him last year.
Well, not for nothing. There's plenty of other coaches that are capable and other guys that are getting interviewed.
Just
for
like Mike McCarthy.
Jobs.
Mike McCarthy got how many more days before he can start talking to any team?
Like Cowboys are blocking him from talking to anybody
because they only got a couple more days. I think it's the 13th or the 14th. After that, he can talk to whoever he wants.
Yeah,
he's a actual free agent. And guess what? In football, you can't tag a coach.
This is the time of year where the coaches get hired, man. Schemes work, bro. Look at the running backs who switch teams. Raiders have a chance for a lottery QB, and let's say go pay a Higgins. T. Higgins is the big fish as far as the wide receiver market goes. I mean, he's been linked to my team. We were talking about potentially him going to the Giants before. I don't know how that's going to work out now. T. Higgins, Steelers.
That's what I want.
There's a couple of
we're going to have. I looked at the people we can cut, and we're already projected at $53 million under. I looked at 6 players that could get cut that really aren't like, oh, go ahead. That can get that to $70 million.
Yeah.
And that is the range I need because guess what, number 3? You played yourself out of a contract these last couple weeks.
You talk about teams that need quarterbacks. You guys need a wide receiver bad.
I am all bad. Aboard the JF2 band. I say if you got to pick which quarterback to bring next year, you bring back Justin Fields.
McCarthy ain't leaving. Jerry already signed them. We just don't know yet. So we got people saying that McCarthy is going to stay put in Dallas. This is kind of a lost year for
somebody said he thinks the Chicago Bears job's intriguing.
McCarthy to Chicago.
I forgot where I read it.
It is intriguing, bro.
That Chicago's intriguing. Chicago's intriguing to a lot of people.
I'm not buying the narrative.
Pickens is getting traded. I'm done with him. I'm done with him.
Suspect.
He already knows it. I've already stated it. I'm done with him. I don't care. He could come out this Saturday and get 152 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I'm still done with him.
That's rough last
I'm done. I ain't got time for you can't have an AB attitude and not put AB stats.
Yeah. AB had the stats to back up the crazy.
Yeah.
you're just being crazy.
Mike Tomlin tolerated the crazy because AB was putting up 1,500 yards a year and 10 touchdowns.
And I think
I'm overpicking.
He hears
if we can send him to a 2nd-round pick, I'm all for it.
He hears the comparisons and it fed his ego. Like, yeah, I'm like AB, but you're not.
You're not like AB. You're nothing like him.
You're nothing like AB. It's like comparing Lion King and Lion King 2. It's not the same, and you will never be as good. And AB even came out and said himself, like, you can say whatever you want about me, but on the
no
field,
one questioned
they
me
knew
on the
what
field.
It was, and
I was focused and ready at all times, no matter the score.
And he produced for the team. You know, he took the lid off of the offense when he was on the field. Yeah, absolutely putrid. Like he got exposed. He's not
terrible.
He's not a guy that you really.
He's a wide receiver too.
You don't have to scheme up a strategy for Pickens. It's a very easy
George
offense.
Pickens George Pickens is the one that needed the wide receiver more than anything.
Yes,
I will say the Steelers fumbled that.
I gotta watch that. The Mufasa one. I gotta check that one out. I do want to see that. That one I want to see.
I was not pleased with what we did in the offseason because I told you the stats about how Van Jefferson played almost 78% of the snaps this year, and all he had was almost 300 yards receiving.
Calvin Austin was your wide receiver too this year.
No, stats show that it was Pat Fryermuth with almost 700 receiving yards.
It was the Muth, but when your wide receivers aren't.
But imagine
reliable,
if there was a legit number 2 there,
it makes the tight end more dangerous.
Pat's stats would have been better.
Yeah, it makes the tight end more dangerous.
I do believe George Pickens is going to be available to a lot of teams. They're just not going to trade him in the AFC.
So many teams.
I can tell you now, ladies and gentlemen, if George Pickens gets traded in the offseason, it will not be to an AFC team. If it is, it's going to be to a bottom feeder AFC team like Vegas. He's not going to. So
he's going to be the 2 to Jacoby Myers because Jacoby Myers is the wide receiver 1 out there.
All the Chiefs fans out there, you're not getting him. All the Buffalo fans, you're not getting him.
Drew Ski, what up, bro?
The Steelers are not going to trade.
Is Tanner starting this weekend for the Eagles?
We don't know. He still hasn't passed protocol.
He was limited at practice today. He was participating in practice for the
all he has to do
for the media
is say he got dizzy.
Neurologist hasn't cleared him, though.
Yeah. All he has to say is he feels a little vertigo. He's not getting past, and you're putting Kenny Pickett out there.
Let's be real. Your run game was horrible. Steelers' run game has been a little bit better. It's just they want to run the ball 40 times.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Because your pass offense is not believable. Defenses are not worried about the Steelers' pass offense.
Like,
so
think about
in
this.
essence, you're not really worried about
You're
the
driving the
offense
ball in a 2-minute drill down the field with passes.
A key jersey on the way.
So you get smart and say, I'm going to toss it to Cordell Patterson. And next play after that's a 2-yard loss. Then the next play is a 6-yard sack. I hope to never see Cordell Patterson wear a Steelers jersey ever again in my life.
Well, what about when you mentioned the Bears job? What about Arthur Smith?
There's rumors that he's intrigued by that job too.
I don't think that helps Caleb Williams much, though.
No.
Honestly. I think
it's going to help DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, DeAndre Swift is going to be a household name because this guy wants to run the rock 35 times.
And then with his top 10 pick, he's going to pick Ashton Gentry and have Ashton and these two running all day.
Just going to run the shit out of the football, dog. I mean, he did it in Atlanta. He's doing it in Pittsburgh. You know?
I blame Mike Tomlin, though.
They ain't getting rid of him this year.
Nah.
They're not. You guys aren't changing anything up.
The whole staff's coming back.
You guys aren't changing anything.
And next year, it's going to be even worse.
Is Russ going to be the quarterback next year?
No.
Justin?
Unless he beats the Ravens, he has no shot in hell of coming back next. I think they should start Justin Fields Saturday night.
Nick, I agree with you. Bears need an offensive coach. As far as Justin Fields starting Saturday, that is super spicy. Like, to switch things up like that,
I would.
Steeler Nation would go nuts.
I would.
You guys don't like change.
Go heel.
Drastic change like that. To start Fields,
I think
Saturday
the Bears,
night,
if they're going to go offensive coach, should go after Mike McCarthy or Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I know we cut up on Mike McCarthy a lot, but Mike McCarthy had that team still like playing football.
And Bears have a lot more pieces.
Like minus the Eagles game. Like that
it's all
team.
about perspective.
That team was competing. Like they had no real shot, and they were still competing.
Like Matt was lying about the 12-5 Giants record he was predicting. Matt was drunk. You never heard that come out of my mouth. You're right. Chris never said 12-5.
Never.
They went and grabbed all those receivers and sucked. It's insane. And the Bears have more pieces to work with than the Raiders do as far as like their overall offense. They have the quarterback. You know, they have.
They're not bringing back Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen ain't coming back, but you still got DJ Moore. You got Roma Dunze. You know, you
Cole
got
Kmet, who took a backseat this year, which was weird.
Took a total shit on everybody who had high hopes for him and what he was going to be as far as a part of this offense.
I picked him in the 17th round of a draft. I thought I had a steal. No, I didn't.
Of course.
I cut him by like week 6.
I don't think I had him rostered anywhere, and I never went to go get him either. And if I did go get him, it was probably for like a week rental. He did nothing, and I threw him back into the pond with the rest of the fish, dead fish, the Dead Sea.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that position was pretty
Yeah, because if you don't have Bowers or McBride or Kittle, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hey, if you were lucky enough to go get Jonnu Smith.
Sam Laporta in the last month of the season really was.
Yeah, but most people who drafted him missed out on the playoffs because from September to November, he wasn't doing nothing. But
he almost won it for me.
He wasn't doing nothing.
If Jared Goff wasn't late on that first half pass on 4th down, man.
That was a scary watch right there.
I heard Pacheco was going to the Hall of Fame.
That
I ain't going.
Sweat. That was an absolute sweat.
What happens if they play each other? What happens in the Super Bowls? Kansas City and Philly, and Kansas City beats Philly again.
They would if they played each other again. It would be the same as the last time they played each other. And I don't think the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl anyway, so it doesn't matter. They're not getting that far. You're not getting out of the NFC. The NFC is too good for the brand of football that you are putting out there with a franchise quarterback that hasn't played in over a month, who has still not been cleared by neurologists. We still don't know. It's Wednesday. You got a game on Sunday, and we don't know if your quarterback is going to be ready for that game. This is the first practice today. Was the first time he was at practice. You know, limited.
They kept that crap
for the portion that is open to the media. So that could just be them wanting to show people like, look, he's here, getting the first reps. You know what I mean? Trying to pacify the people. I still
think they should be Green Bay, especially if Jordan Love doesn't play. Malik Willis isn't beating Philly.
Oh, shit. I'm going away like Aaron Rodgers.
I'm sorry,
All right, Green Bay
Malik Willis isn't beating Philly, and
Hey, the Green Bay's banged up too.
Jordan Love has just had this injury after injury after injury type year. It was the knee. I still think he came back too early from that knee. Then he had the groin. And now he has the arm issue where he said he couldn't feel his hand.
Malik Willis won them a game. They didn't have to bring Jordan Love back when they did.
They did.
They were 1-1.
They should have waited one more week.
And 1-1 for the Packers is exactly where you want to be. But this is the time of year where the Packers turn up too. We've seen them pull some upsets.
If Jordan Love is healthy enough to play, this game could be an upset.
They relied heavily on the run. More than any other team, maybe. You know that when you're playing the Eagles, they're going to bleed the clock. The Eagles are
asshole backwards. They built the team in the past to only turn around and rely on the run.
They are going to bleed the clock, bro.
True.
They're going to bleed the clock, and what you need to do against them is score touchdowns to null and void that. Take it down the field and
God
just
forbid,
punch it in on them.
God forbid Barkley gets hurt. The Eagles are screwed.
Well, I think Green Bay has a great shot this week, especially with, the uncertainty surrounding Jalen Hurts, because like you said, you don't think Malik Willis can beat the Eagles. I don't think Tanner McKee is going to lead the Eagles past the Green Bay Packers.
I don't think Kenny Pickett is leading. Is Kenny Pickett even practicing, or is he hurt too?
I think he's back at practice. I think also limited like Hurts. They're all banged up. Their healthiest quarterback is McKee.
And then he's going to play, and he's going to be rusty if he gets cleared.
Yeah, and that's another thing. He's playing. He's not going to be 100%, and he hasn't played in over a month. So you're going to see some of that dog shit play from Jalen Hurts.
And what happens when he goes to scramble? Is he going to hurry up and run out of bounds? Is he hurry up? Is he going to slot? Like, what's he going to do? Is he going to be aggressive?
Does the front office of the Eagles, give Nick Sirianni a pass if he gets eliminated first round? Like, is he good? Is he going to be all right? Is his regular season record going to save him?
I don't know. Philly fans love him. He's one of us.
Yeah. They love anybody who can get them wins. They don't give a shit about you because they'll turn on you. The minute you ain't giving them what they need, they'll turn on you. And they're going to turn on Jalen Hurts if he goes out there and shits the bed. Green Bay can stop the run. I think Smith is the one who can turn the game. A.J. Brown disappeared this year. They're not throwing enough.
Remember what Nick Foles did? Well, guess what? That's Nick Foles.
They're not throwing enough.
Tanner McKee is not Nick Foles. You know what? I hope Tanner McKee starts so I can see a bloodbath.
He might not have a choice depending on what these practice reports indicate.
Kenny Pickett ain't beating the Packers.
The next 2 days are going to be very revealing as far as, because just because he's limited at practice, he has not gotten the clearance to be able to, that he's officially the starter. He's expected to play.
Yes.
That's different.
That is 100% true.
Philly fans, I know you're all rah-rah and confident right now, but in the back of your minds, I know you guys are sweating it. You guys are nervous because you want to know that your boy's going to be out there. And even if he is out there, what version of him are you going to be getting after not having played for a month, going up against a hungry, dangerous, wounded football team?
Update on the coaches. The Jaguars have requested an interview with Brian Flores for their head coach job.
Yeah, you knew it was coming with Flores and what he was able to do. A lot of
guys. Bears completed their interview with Mike Vrabel.
A lot of guys from Minnesota are going to be
Matt Nagy.
Jobs.
What are the Jets doing? Matt Nagy?
Foles came in week 14. Yeah, that's another thing. Foles was in there. It didn't just start for the playoffs. He had a couple of weeks under his belt. Hurts will play, but it's weird that he has a crutch and he sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what Eagles fans say to justify a loss. They'll be eliminated, and we don't have to hear shit about them until next year. And then all the Philly fans will be putting on their red pinstripes and saying, "Go Phils. It's baseball season. We don't want to talk football anymore." It's a vicious cycle to be a Philly sports fan. I think Philly sitting the team last week will bite them in the ass. I have talked to Oscar about that. We've discussed it for the past couple weeks off the pod. Discussed it in one of my lives last week. This football team is they're very big on routine. The Eagles know what they want to do. We know what the Eagles want to do. They want to run the ball. They want to consistently be able to do that. That's their pattern. To seat all their starters and then have them come in cold for this matchup, wild card weekend, against a Packers team that can put 7 points on the board pretty fast. They can score. They They can get into a shootout. They can run the ball. The Packers can play all different types of ways. It's going to be interesting to see, man. It's going to be very telling those first couple of drives, as far as like what Philly is going to look like. I don't expect Philly to come out of the gate red hot and start airing it out just because Hurts is back healthy and ready to play. I think that they're going to try to take that slow, methodical approach. A couple handoffs to Barkley to start the game.
Yep.
A 3rd and long, which is going to be very telling as far as where Hurts is and what he's going to be able to do. And potentially Jalen Hurts, incomplete pass, punt the ball back to Green Bay. And all of a sudden, we have an interesting situation going on.
Yeah, all I have is that he practiced limited. I'm looking to see if there's anything else. But it just shows
they're saying Hurts is going to play. He's expected to. But to me, like that wouldn't reassure me as a fan, knowing that my franchise guy hasn't been there for a month and his first game back is going to be an elimination game. That's tough. I think the momentum of getting Barkley the record would have been big. And if they get bounced, that's going to be Philly radio is going to go up in flames talking about we should have let Barkley have a shot so that we could have something, so that we could have some type of win since we got eliminated. It's a double-edged sword. If he plays and you risk you risk him getting hurt, you got people saying, stash him. We're playing for the bigger picture, the grand scheme of things, as my colleague here like to say. But in the big picture, if they get bounced this week, then it's going to be the argument of, we should have let Barkley get it. How many times do you have the opportunity? He's part of the 2,000-yard club. Like, we screwed him. We screwed Barkley. Yada, 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 yada. No matter what, the headlines going into Wild Card Weekend are great, and the headlines coming out of Wild Card Weekend are great. At a point in time where I feel like 2025, so many of these teams are going to look so different because of the quarterback changes, because of the head coaching vacancies and the guys that are going to get hired. Because of how much this year's draft means to so many of us who spent all year sucking and are looking for so many things that like we need.
Yeah.
Like we're going into a new era of the NFL. Like, this shit is about to look drastically different next year. You're going to have new contenders, new pretenders, new teams at the bottom, the teams that, of course, everybody thought was going to be ready and play big and end up, not delivering. I'm hearing that Robert Saleh might end up being reunited with 49ers.
If he doesn't get a head coaching job, they're going to offer him the DC position again.
I think that would be good for him. Go back home.
Yeah.
That's where you made your claim to fame, and then look at what Brian Flores did. You could potentially get yourself another opportunity at a head coaching job after a couple years.
I'm pretty sure Flores is getting a job.
Yeah, a lot of guys from Minnesota.
Because I also heard Brady has also told the Raiders to look into Flores. I say bring John Gruden back. The can of worms that'll open.
Spider Y2 banana. I think he's not one of the primary guys to get a coaching job right now. I guess his name is out there, but it's going to take a bit for him to end up getting a job. They want people to forget.
I know I was reading that some teams want to interview him, but they're worried about the backlash.
Yeah. I get it.
Yes, Mahomes and Rodgers did have almost exactly the same stats this year, which is wild.
It is.
Because most people said one's washed and the other one's still a superstar, and it's funny. But that's where, those people who don't like stats, stats are misleading.
Stats are misleading unless it's something that you can use to improve your argument.
Yeah.
If it's a stat that you don't like that goes against what you're going to – then you – it's all perspective, man. Like Drew said earlier, it's all perspective. You can manipulate stats the way you want to manipulate stats.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is done. I don't think he's completely washed. I think with the right system and the right team, it would work. It's just the Jets are the Jets. like Brett Favre went to the Jets for that year, looked like shit. We were like, oh my God, he's done. The next year he went to the Vikings and had that unbelievable season.
Lit it up.
And then he should have retired after that.
Yeah, then it got bad.
Because then that following year was just the whole Vikings team was just like
the roof caved in. It was just a very, very.
It was a bad year for them completely.
For Minnesota. We expected Minnesota to be bad this year, and they went out there and they got the most wins by a 5th seed in NFL history, potentially.
Rodgers, I could see Aaron playing for Vegas if he comes back. I could see him playing for Vegas.
Who wants to do a 1-year rental though? Like, I get Bridge quarterback, but like, who?
I can see Tennessee. He owns a house in Tennessee.
Yeah, but we're gonna draft Ward.
Maybe you have Rodgers start that year, and
so we're gonna have Cam Ward, Aaron Rodgers, and Will Levis. We're gonna have Mason Rudolph there too. Just gonna have all these guys.
Mason will get cut. Mason will be the odd man out.
Like, jeez, man. I mean, Callahan went and told Levis like they are bringing in a quarterback, whether it's through free agency or the draft. So we have a quarterback.
Wow, he told him that at the end of the year meetings.
He told him, "Shut up. We're bringing somebody else in." So it's a question of
to him for having the balls to say that, though.
It's a question of
a lot of people would be like, "Oh no."
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild what's happening out there right now. You got a shadow GM calling the shots. Callahan, who's safe for now, but like if we have another bad year, he might be done next year.
I'm trying to find out why C is gone. You only gave a guy 2 years.
I
didn't see enough improvement.
There's so many.
Your roster was flawed already.
There's so many conflicting reports. They were talking about how he's lazy, how he was only able to assemble talent but not able to put an actual team together. There's a lot coming out of the organization bad about Mr. C, and I don't know how much of it I believe because I feel like some of it
smear campaign now.
Yeah, it's a smear campaign. The same.
You gotta put all that. You ain't hear none of that before, but now you're gonna hear all of it after he leaves.
I think it all starts at the top with ownership and Amy spending daddy's money. She doesn't know how to do this. She doesn't know how to do it, man. She can't. She doesn't know. She ain't built for that position.
What up, Chris?
What's going on?
Poor guy. The Jets took all the life out of him.
Well, what about Sam Darnold to the Jets? They're going to need a quarterback next year, right? Like,
I'm coming home. Tell the world.
Like, look at the roster. They're talented. You've got the guys that they brought in for Rodgers, but you got Garrett Wilson, who's still there. You got Breece Hall.
What do you do?
Sauce Gardner.
Good question.
Like, you got pieces to work with that are right there.
Sierra lives in New York.
Russ to the Jets. I mean, but damn, like Justin Fields.
I think Fields is the one that's staying.
Is that because you want him to be the one that stays, or because
he's younger? And if he sucks, then that means you're picking in the top. Listen, the best thing possible could be, hey, maybe you go 5-12, and you enter the Manning sweepstakes of 2026.
Oh, well, we're going to be out of that the minute that we take one of these quarterbacks this year. You can forget about.
That's how I look at it.
We can't keep
if
drafting
we
a quarterback
suck so bad that we actually had Mike Tomlin's first losing season. 5-12, 4-13, and you grab Archie. Woo!
The second
gives
coming.
Me chills.
Giants want him, dog. You know the Giants. They've been trying to get Eli back since he left. They're gonna do whatever they can,
bro. They're gonna run that team back. That coaching staff. They're gonna be just as bad as this year, and then they'll fire them.
Giants are still gonna be bad. They're a ways away from, and we're no different. We're a ways away from being good again.
Shine, whatever you want to call him.
He's a clown.
He should have listened to his son. His son gave him the best advice. You got to move up to get Jaden. And what was his son telling him? You only get this job once.
There were multiple people in that room that were making
And
more
still,
sense than he was.
Kudos to the intern who said we need to keep
He was trying
Saquon.
that man was trying to save an organization, bro. And he's saying this stuff, and the owner is right there while he's saying it. And you know Mara's looking at this
Mara's
kid.
looking at him like, damn, I'm going to keep you, kid.
So that guy, we're going to see that guy
He's
again.
probably like this. He probably looked at the other guy and looked at him and goes, they're gone.
Like, that kid on Hard Knocks made a name for himself because he was the only one in there telling the truth.
You only find an elite quarterback, an elite running back here and there.
We all know owner is the issue for the Jets. Yeah, we're the same way. I don't get it. How can you say you have no patience left, yet keep both GM and head coach same breath?
He's right.
I get stability, but still.
Mara's trying, man. Mara's trying to be that owner. Like, I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt.
He's also trying to sell tickets, and you can't sell tickets with Devin Singletary as your RB and Boyle as your quarterback.
He's got Malik Neighbors.
You got Neighbors now, so Neighbors is going to sell jerseys. So I think he'll be
But
happy.
Neighbors don't like losing. He's let that perfectly known.
Yeah, and he's been a bright spot for them. I think him and I think Theo are going to be big bright spots for the Giants moving forward, even if I think they're going to suck next year. Those two are going to be pieces that are going to go out there and be able to get the ball down the field. And Tyron Tracy has shown that he is perfectly capable of being that lead back. They need an offensive line and a quarterback still.
Yo, I'm still in
conversation.
awe. I'm in awe that they're letting Mike Tannenbaum and Rich Spillman, the Jets, help them find their next coach and GM. When Mike Tannenbaum bombed as a GM for the Jets.
Tracy took that job. Yeah.
Like, what?
Dog, a lot of our teams are lost.
The teams in New York are just like, huh?
A lot of our teams have no direction. Us, the Jets, the Browns, the Giants, we have no direction. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know what's going on.
And the Browns, what are they going to do with the second pick, right?
The second overall pick.
Are they going to take Shador?
What does Dion want to do? I guess that's the big question. And that's why I don't like the hoopla around Shador, because it's like your dad has too much control over this situation. It's like, what
your dad's
going
to tell the teams not to draft my son because he ain't playing there. So the team drafts him. So your son's going to sit a whole year
get traded
just to enter back in the draft when next year's quarterback class actually looks better than what this year's class is? Huh.
His best shot is to get drafted this year so he can look better compared to waiting a year.
Exactly.
And those are the quarterbacks.
And once you declare,
want.
You're done.
Like,
your career's over. You can't go back to college.
I know this draft class is bad for quarterbacks when people are already talking about next year's draft class for quarterbacks. This is the running back draft class. The running backs that are coming out, Genty, Hampton, those cats,
bro,
those are the dogs.
Had Dallas picking him at 10th overall.
Genty?
Yeah.
It's
and I'm like, Dallas needs a tackle. Dallas needs a
they don't care.
Why would Dallas take a running back at 10?
A splash move on draft night. Ashton Genty's going to be wearing those Cowboys colors. It can happen. They need a running back, that's for sure. You know, because it ain't working out with Rico and with Vaughn. And Rico did better, to his credit, as the year progressed. But you could say that about the Cowboys offense in general. Like, they played better down the stretch. They weren't the worst. As a fan, I would want Vrabel, even though times Brady or Pat say he's going to Vegas to New England, or Brian Flores personally. Patriots are not going to let Vrabel go to the Jets because the Patriots don't want the Jets to turn it around before they do. The Patriots are going to block that and do whatever they can in order to get him to go to New England. However, if he went to the Bears, I don't think it would affect the Patriots as much. They just aren't going to let him go to the Jets. What up, RJ?
I can see that.
Vrabel to the Patriots is the perfect match, though.
But Vrabel needs to hire an offensive staff. That's his problem. He needs to have a good OC. Like, if he becomes the coach of the New England Patriots, You gotta have an OC. What's he gonna do? Bring Mike Mularkey back?
Mularkey wasn't with
Oh wait,
him.
Mularkey wasn't with him.
Mularkey
was
lost his
before him.
job, and then they hired.
Mularkey was 9-7, won a playoff game,
got fired because he didn't want to get rid of his staff,
which was crazy.
Our offense was a rough watch then, but the defense was getting us wins, bro. Mularkey, that's always a what if. That's always a what if for me. It's like, what could have been that if we bring Mularkey back that next
year? And Mularkey
year?
was an offensive-minded coach. That's what people forget. And he, honestly, Marcus Mariota played better for Mike Mularkey than he ever did for Mike Vrabel.
Quinn Allen.
Think about that. His stats with Mularkey are way better than he struggled with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, it was always a struggle, but I feel like most of Mariota's big comeback games were under Mularkey.
Yes.
Like those crazy
the 2015
drills.
year was bad. It was his rookie season. Kent Wisenhunt was terrible. Then 2016 and 2017, he had really good years.
But now you take 2015 is when Amy took over. So now you got to look back at that timeline and look at everything that's happened since then. You know, I don't blame these quarterbacks.
Go back and look at it. Mike Mularkey was an offensive-minded coach, and so he put Mariota in position, and he also had Mariota running. Yeah. He didn't just I don't think Mariota was as bad as people made him out to be.
Before Derrick Henry was really Derrick Henry too, you can point the finger at Mariota's performances. Some games weren't pretty, but I'm as a fan, look at this organization, man. Look at the company he works for. I don't know what they're doing, bro. I don't know what they're doing.
Let me go back. I want to look at.
And I said it in one of our group chats. You can be excited about having a top pick, but I'm only excited about it when I can trust the people who are in charge of making the draft picks themselves. So I'm going into this draft. The bar is low for me as far as what I want. I'd prefer Cam Ward over Shedeur Sanders if we're going to stay at the 101. But at the end of the day, you can go into training camp and Will Levis could end up still being the starter next year.
Mariota under Mike Mularkey.
Thundercats.
19 touchdowns, 26 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns.
The injuries too. Injuries played a part.
Oh boy.
Oh man, we got the run in from the dogs.
Oh boy.
Luka and Cass. How'd they get down here? Hi, buddy.
I gotta fix that door. Get away. You're gonna mess up the wires. Let's go, boy.
You just waltz in now. Lions OC, no chance, despite some fans wanting that. He's better off staying in Detroit than our mess. I mean, that's what happens, though.
Cassie.
When a team is successful, like Detroit is,
Cassie.
the people, the coordinators, the staff from that job are going to end up getting themselves into a situation where they can get hired somewhere else. And it's no different with Detroit. So if anything, they're going to rip some of the best minds from the Detroit staff, have them go somewhere else, and it may or may not pan out to be the same thing. Same can be said about Brian Flores after the wonderful year that the Minnesota Vikings have had. O'Connell looks like a genius with what he's been able to do with Sam Darnold. The Detroit offensive coordinator, there's it's a part of the evolution of the league. Year in and year out basis, guys end up getting picked and go into other staffs and opportunities arise. Sometimes it's the downside of having a successful year. Is that
true? She doesn't even live in the same state as her team she owns.
She lives in Houston. Yeah, Amy lives in Houston.
Oh, sell the team.
She lives in Houston, bro. Yeah. She wasn't out there for the pregame, and she wasn't out there at the end of the game. And she had spokespeople talking for her. She had Brinker and our other guy talking for her. Amy allows us to Amy gives me the power to speak for the team. She's Dixie Carter, bro. She's in over her head. She's not a good owner. The flash in the pan of the 2019 AFC Championship game, ever since then, that morsel of success completely ruined us because we stripped and gutted that football team and slowly have regressed every year since. And now, everybody who wanted to say it was Mike Vrabel's fault, well, the GM just got fired. So you tell me if it was all on Vrabel or if it was the company that he worked for. Because Vrabel's out there having conversations with all the teams that need a head coach. His reputation was not ruined by getting fired by the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans' reputation is in the mud based on their actions and transgressions. You chose Carthen over Vrabel, and now you're choosing Brian Callahan over Carthen. Before that, you chose Vrabel over J-Rob. Like, this is every single year that we're doing this now. It's a vicious pattern. There's no way you expected Mr. C to turn this football team around in a span of 2 years with everything that we had going on. There's no way. There's no way.
Mike Mularkey, man, I'm looking up him, and he's really been dealt a bad hand. His first head coaching gig was Buffalo. They went 9-7, missed the playoffs. The next year, he had a losing season, but resigned because he didn't like the direction of the team. Went to Jacksonville, which I remember the Jags of 2012 were a terrible football team.
Terrible.
Which wasn't him because they were devoid of talent.
Yep.
Won 2 games and got fired because the Jaguars needed to restart. But you only gave the guy 1 year.
Yeah.
Goes to Tennessee. He had a 2-7 record as an interim. Then in 2016, after starting 1-3, didn't you guys? Yeah, and you ended the season 9-7, and then you guys got you back to 9-7 the following year.
Yeah.
Go in the Arrowhead, beat the Chiefs in the first round.
That was that 3-year span where we kept going 9-7, like we were living in a time loop. 9-7, 9-7, 9-7.
I feel bad for him because I thought he was a good coach. I did.
I knew he had his limitations, but I appreciate what he was able to do with what we had. And the team was playing hard.
It's going to suck.
We found our identity a little bit with him, and then Mike Vrabel just enhanced that identity. Mike Vrabel became the face of the Tennessee Titans because of who he was and how he was. And the team rallied around Vrabel. But,
I agree.
Vrabel wanted to keep hiring his friends. That was part of the issue. At one point, the great Dean Pease was our defensive coordinator. I love that guy. After that, you had Bowen and you had – now, I love our DC this year. Denard Wilson, I love that guy. I think he's great. We were the best pass defense in football, even though you couldn't tell, without Snead and Awuzie, which were our big offseason signings. They were both missing half of the year. And our secondary was still going out there and putting up good numbers. It's just the number that everybody's going to remember more than anything is the record, 3-14. So it doesn't matter how good the pass defense was, But you knew we were losing. Like, was your plan to fire Mr. C all along? If you're going to, I don't know, for all that, why wait until week 18? What was the point? I don't understand. It still doesn't make sense to me.
Buried his career the moment he traded A.J. Brown.
And
that was terrible.
And Vrabel,
very outspoken.
And Vrabel hiring his friends, that didn't help Vrabel's case. And the fact that he won Coach of the Year, basically starting 90 different players that year because all our guys went down.
That's why I still
won the
never
AFC.
She fired him because he went to go to the Patriot Hall of Fame. He was getting honored, and they fired him.
They didn't want him to go, and he's like, "I'm going." Like he was a part of
honoring
something
him.
special.
Yeah,
dog.
They're honoring him. What did you think? Maybe you should have went with him if you were worried about him.
You want to go with him? He was
somebody with him.
He was a New England Patriot from 2001 to 2008. Like, part of their dynasty, bro. Vrabel was part of the dynasty, catching touchdowns in the Super Bowl. This guy's not going to go and be honored for what he deserves to be honored for? You're going to be petty like that? Trying to send some of the bad teams to restart NFL Europe League.
Yo, last year when y'all were in your losing season, it was his first losing season as a coach, right? Or second?
Second, because the first time was we went 7-2 and then we shit the bed. That was the year everything went to shit after
everybody was hurt.
We traded AJ Brown.
Yeah, that was stupid.
You know,
AJ Brown never gets traded. Mike Vrabel's probably still there.
We win the AFC without Derrick Henry and lose to the Bengals in the divisional round, and then follow that up with a massive choke job from Tannehill, by the way, against Cincinnati, and then we follow that up by trading AJ Brown that following draft. Like,
we got that beautiful picture of Tannehill.
Yeah, just you guys bring back Tannehill. Bring him back. Bring him back. Is this what he was waiting for? Was he waiting for the opportunity to come back to Tennessee? Because he hasn't signed anywhere else. He said he was waiting for the right opportunity.
He didn't play anywhere this year.
Maybe this is the right opportunity. Bring him back. You know? Or you sign Cam Ward and then have Will Levis beat out Cam Ward in training camp and then declare Will Levis as the starter of the Tennessee Titans for 2025 after using your first overall pick on a quarterback. That's it. I mean, yeah. All right. There you go. So use this draft pick to light a fire under Will Levis's ass. And then what? 8 and 9? You know, and in one of the most winnable divisions ever.
Yeah, because the Texans struggle down the stretch.
Texans suck, bro. Texans suck. The Chargers should beat them. The Chargers. You're right, but like, and you know, the Chargers' history doesn't work well with them. But I have a little bit
28-0.
I have a little bit more trust in the Chargers because of Harbaugh. And because of the confidence that Harbaugh has instilled in Justin Herbert. Like, Justin Herbert now looks like the franchise quarterback. Like, the Chargers have
scary, bro. I just
direction.
think about 28-0, dog.
That is scary. You know, but you got to look at who was in charge for that. We knew that coach was a fraud. We knew that guy was an absolute fraud.
Sounds like you got a Falcons. Well, I guess Penix is going to start next year because I'm pretty sure Kurt is not coming back to sit the bench.
It's looking and sounding like Penix is going to be the guy for next year.
So here's what's going to happen with Kirk Cousins. The Falcons are going to cut him. It's going to be just like a Russell Wilson situation. Kirk Cousins is still going to be owed almost $50 million even if he gets cut. So the Falcons are going to pay this man $50 million, and whoever signs him, it's going to be for the league minimum, just like Russell Wilson. So someone's going to get Kirk Cousins next year on $1 million deal.
We need to go pay T. Higgins or trade for Tyreek Hill this offseason. I'm not convinced anyone we have can be a wide receiver one at all. I don't think LaFleur got robbed. He was a good second place to Vrabel. Vrabel earned the coach of the year that year. Like, nobody was doing what he was doing. He had no names going out there and like we were winning football games.
How did LaFleur get robbed? He had Aaron Rodgers.
He didn't get robbed. That's
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, he didn't get robbed.
They started the whole year.
We won the AFC without Derrick Henry.
The AFC South was won without Derrick Henry.
The AFC Conference was won without Derrick Henry. There were weeks
where Ryan Tannehill didn't play. There was weeks where AJ Brown didn't play.
I think Harbaugh really turned that team around. Harbaugh gave the Chargers.
There you go. There's the Raiders quarterback next year. Kirk freaking Cousins.
Cousins to the Raiders. Hey, that fits.
It's only going to cost him $1 million because I'm telling you, there's no way he's restructuring his deal. And number two,
Steelers.
No, Cousins to the Steelers. No, please, no.
Cousins to the Steelers.
Stop.
Oh man, bro. Like, I can picture us when the news breaks of who goes where, and like our reactions to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's going to be so much of it this year because of so many moving pieces. Jersey Triad group text is going to be going crazy. The forum's going to be going crazy. Like, We're going to have to start putting some of these hot takes pen to paper. We're going to have to put an episode together of who we think is going to get hired where. And
you're right.
Just because there's so much. Like, we'll do the quarterbacks, we'll do the coaches, we'll do like where we think T. Higgins is going to end up going, because that's one that I really can't call it when it comes to T. Higgins. Like, I don't know what's about to happen with that guy. I just know that he is going to be high in demand, and wherever he goes, he's going to be the wide receiver one. There's not going to be a Jamar Chase there, like where he goes. So it's going to be T. Higgins' world, and he also has the opportunity to elevate the wide receiver room of whatever team he ends up going to.
Yeah, I wish the league year started a week after the Super Bowl ended, or give it 2 weeks after and just start signing people.
Yeah.
Why are you making me wait till March?
Yeah, it's nasty business by the NFL. Because all this stuff right now is just, we're in limbo right now. Coaches are going to get hired though, because Vrabel got hired in January. So at the end of January, you're going to see coaches end up taking jobs, and
I think Vrabel winds up with New England.
I can see that.
I think Ben Johnson is going to wind up in Chicago, the offensive coordinator from the Lions.
If that happens, then we see a second-year leap from Caleb Williams.
I think former New England Jet cornerback Aaron Glenn, who is now the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions, is going to be the next New York Jets football coach.
Mm.
I think Brian Flores is probably going to wind up in Jacksonville because they're going to go established. And what other opening am I thinking of?
Flores to Jacksonville makes sense as well.
Did I say the Raiders yet? No, right?
No. They need the quarterback and the freaking coach. So it's hard to pinpoint.
I don't know about Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to hire someone we least expect. And I'm going to go on a limb and say Mike McCarthy does stay with Dallas.
McCarthy stays with Dallas?
Oh. Yo, he's vicious.
He's trying to get in.
Yep. He's probably looking at us through the crack of the door like.
Yeah, man. This is the part of the On the Money Sports
it sucks that coaches got fired.
Draft.
I think it sucks.
It's part of the business. Some of them were in over their heads. Some of them
we got to remember
got
too.
An unfair shot.
Artie Smith got interviews lined up with the Jets and the Bears. The Steelers could lose Artie Smith.
He's gonna get another shot.
I heard a lot of people are interested in Arthur Smith. People are like, Alex is like, ew, the Steelers sucked the last 4 weeks. I said teams are interested in what he did with Justin Fields in the first month of the season.
True.
They looked at the body of work that he did with Justin Fields, and now, more than one reporter has come out and said Arthur Smith never wanted to switch quarterbacks.
I think
Arthur Smith wanted to keep Justin in the starting role.
You think Dougie P gets another job?
I think Dougie P is going to take another year off, or he becomes he becomes like an offensive coordinator or something, or an offensive consultant. I think, Dougie P, the Jacksonville Jaguars are in a penultimate Groundhog's Day, because more than one person now, and I'm starting to believe it, Trevor Lawrence ain't that good. And you just paid this man $250 million, and he just cost now a second person their job. I mean, Urban Meyer ain't do himself no favors.
Yeah, Urban Meyer cost himself the job. It's fair to say.
But it's not like this team stopped fighting for Doug Peterson. This team was competing each and every single week. They probably had only, 2 or 3 blowouts on the whole year. Other than that, these guys were in games all the way into the fourth quarter. I don't think he deserved to get fired. I just think the Jacksonville Jaguars are just a horrible team. And I think Tony Khan, if you either going to be 100% in football or 100% in professional wrestling, you can't have both because, bro, both are not progressing. Sorry to say it burst people's bubbles.
Both are going backwards.
Either go hard on wrestling or go hard on football. Pick or choose, because splitting yourself isn't working. Because this team is not good. It's either that or let Doug Peterson go. What killed Doug Peterson and Brian Daboll is they both got into the playoffs in their first year.
Yep.
So expectations got even higher, but the team those teams weren't really that good. It was a product of an easy schedule. Daboll is sticking behind because John Mara tries to keep stability. Tony Khan and Shad Khan, this is probably like their sixth head coach they've gone through now.
There's no stability there.
What are we doing?
There's no stability in Jacksonville. I will say, I think Trevor Lawrence is going to put up better numbers statistically. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have better numbers heading into this year. I don't know how good the Jaguars are going to be this year, but hey, like the South, all you need to do is win 9 to 10 games and the division is yours. So you don't have to be the best to get yourself a playoff spot in that division.
I think Doug Peterson, though, next time needs to really judge where he's going. Really does.
And maybe that's why he takes the year off, just to kind of think things over and wait until the calls start coming to you. Wait
Shady
until
McCoy
you
was
feel
going
needed.
Off. He goes, I hate it when a good coach gets fired because the players around them just ain't good enough.
And that's the story of the Jaguars, you know. I don't forget 2 seasons ago.
I think the Colts are making a mistake keeping Steichen and the GM again.
Oh, they're idiots. They're idiots. Pat McAfee was sick. They're total idiots. Like you and you guys were the best competition to the Texans within the division this year. Like we both beat the Texans this year, which shows you know, that the Texans' reign on top is going to be very short-lived. They ain't that good, okay? You know, Stroud ain't no top 5
was
quarterback.
Sick when that news came out.
Yeah,
he already said he's not renewing his.
But this is what Indy's been doing since the Titans were on top in the South. Just idiotic decisions.
They allowed their franchise quarterback, who could have played 15 years, to get beat the hell out of because they refused to draft linemen.
It's the Andrew Luck curse. And they are living
and
through it.
And then I
right
read
now.
that Ryan Grigson's getting interviews for a new GM job. Someone's gonna give Ryan Grigson another chance to form a team after how he allowed his quarterback retire because of him, because of his ignorance to not protect the kid.
Quarterback in his prime, might I add.
The Colts could have still been running this division if Andrew Luck was still healthy and around.
I had the year that I'm pretty sure I had Luck as an MVP candidate as one of my on the money.
So
picks
did I.
The year that he decided to up and retire.
2019.
Like,
I had him because in 2018 he made the playoffs, and we were like, "Oh shit, he won!" Didn't he? He won a playoff game.
Yeah. And
then he was going at it with the Chiefs, but then it was just too much for them.
Steichen was a flash in the pan. You know, Irsay, look,
Perkett Irsay,
he's just a fool tycoon who just is. He got money, you know, and I'm not going to say he's not a football guy. I'm not going to say that. I just think that at this point, you're in over your head. You're in over your head. The success that the Colts had, you are living off of that right now, but you can't get back to that. And guess what? That defense ain't nowhere near what it used to be. You know? And the offense, week to week, you don't know who's going to be who. You don't know who's going to be out there. You don't know. I mean, Flacco's probably going to be gone.
Retired a day after my fantasy draft that year.
The Colts need to make sure that they have a good contingency plan as far as the backup QB, because
there's a lot of people we knew that drafted him.
There's going to be some weeks where Anthony Richardson is just going to be too tired. So, like, you know, like you get what you get. You can say whatever you want about Will Levis. Anthony Richardson ain't that much better. They both can throw the deep ball.
He regressed a lot. We got those couple flashes, and that was all.
Just flashes. just flashes. But they, the Colts Nation is pissed because they want change, and guess what? They're not going to get it. And the organization didn't even wait until the year officially ended to let you know that change is not coming. We're running it back. We are running it back. So you already know, as much as we look forward to the football season coming back, for the next 6 months, Colts fans are going to sit there and think about how their team is not going to make any adjustments to improve.
David Sampson was on the Levitard show today, and this is one of his quotes. Tom Brady is running that team, and the NFL knows it, and Fox knows it, and something has got to give. So enjoy Tom in the booth, because you're not going to see him there next year. This is David P. Sampson on how Tom Brady is one of the Raiders front office is an insult to broadcasters, and how will end his time with the Fox broadcast booth this year.
I don't think anybody would be mad to get him out of the booth. It's a weird situation, too. You guys put him in the booth. You paid him that money for it.
Yeah, right? I think they're going to have to work it.
You did that.
I don't know how.
He didn't put himself there. You knew what he had in the Raiders.
I think Fox is going to probably have to work some type of deal out with him, because he's not allowed to go to team meetings, because you know that announcers are allowed to be in team meetings.
Yeah, he's not allowed to.
He's not allowed to be at any of that shit. So he just shows up on game day and here are your notes.
Yeah, he's not. That will be considered like a form of tampering to be in team meetings of other teams because of his association with the Raiders. So it's just a weird situation. And he's going to maximize the situation and the opportunity and the money. Again, it's like you guys put him in the booth.
Yeah.
Most lucrative deal for a broadcaster ever. Brady is hard to watch on Sundays. Yeah, when he's calling the game, it can be tough. He kind of overtalks. I feel like. Good guy, He's trying. To his credit, he's definitely trying. The effort is there, but it's just not. It's not for everybody, man. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
There's guys like Jim Nance, and there's guys like Tom Brady. Just gotta stay in your lane, bro. Got to stay in your lane. His time in the booth is not going to be remembered as fondly as the likes of John Madden.
I'm just looking to see if there's anything else.
There's not really much else.
I think we
kind of covered everything. I think all that's left is to kind of make our picks for the wild card weekend, and we pretty much end the pod on a high note on our return. Leave the people on a cliffhanger and then come back next week, because we ain't gonna start talking NBA right now. It was a great matchup between the Thunder and the Cavs that went down earlier. The two number 1 seeds going toe to toe, as RJ mentioned. The playoff picture in the NBA, I'm sorry. I just am. If it ain't, fantasy basketball or betting on basketball, NBA is just. I'm ready for.
When's Luka coming back?
I'm ready for spring training. I'm ready for baseball.
My team is cheeks in fantasy basketball this year.
I don't know, but I know that without Luka and without Kyrie and without their top guys, the Mavericks beat the Lakers yesterday, because the Lakers absolutely suck. They absolutely freaking stink. Once again, the Lakers suck, and now we got to figure out who to blame this time. Is it going to be JJ? Is it his fault? I don't know.
That's a shame.
But they are the drizzling shits all around. And I love to see it. I love that for them.
You're so mean.
Every day that the Lakers suck is a good day for me. It's just, I love it. It's music to my ears.
It's not nice.
It's the best. It is the absolute best. Next step is them missing the play-in completely, which would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, very.
And it's weird because it's like this is the best the Rockets have been in a couple years, and I've never been as uninterested in the NBA as I am right now. It's a shit product. Sorry, guys. It's drizzling shits. We're here on the Money Sports, and we cover all the sports. I'm telling you right now.
Nobody wants to hear that.
I don't care about the
basketball's
NBA.
Been terrible this year.
Don't care about it. Not important. NFL offseason, MLB spring training, fantasy, NBA. In that order. Don't care. Doesn't matter. So,
well, we got the 6 games here for this weekend.
yes, we do. Let's break them down.
So we'll do a quick synopsis of these games, give you a little quick preview.
Yep. Chargers,
First game
Houston.
up, 4:30. The Chargers versus the Houston Texans. Houston was on a downside. They played their starters, screwed me out of a big parlay after they pulled all their guys.
Played their starters, but sat Mixon. Oh, that hurt. That hurt on Sunday.
Meanwhile, the Chargers needing to stay in the 5th seed. They whooped the Raiders.
You know how much time you put into making the perfect combination for
I
a parlay?
made a rule.
And
we all made a rule.
In 1 minute.
Week 18, we're not betting next year.
You can't bet on week 18 after what we just
We're
said.
done. We can't even do money lines.
You don't know who these guys are.
I thought my money lines were money.
Week 18, you don't know who any of these people are.
So I'm not messing with that.
Week 18 is faded.
So week 19, I'm probably going to bet playoff football. I'm going to look at histories and matchups.
Week 18, just take the week off.
Yep.
Fantasy is done.
I got,
you sit back
later on in the night, I won that 26 bet.
Which was a great bet.
I started with 20.
Great bet.
Won the 20. I went down to 0, got the 26. I spent 6 on more live bets and didn't come through. And I was pissed because it looked like they were about to punt and then they went for it. And I was like, son of a bitch.
It's all right. It happens.
So I got $20 to play with this weekend that I don't have to put in my account.
Week 18 is a formality.
I'm gonna play some. I'm not probably gonna do money lines because it's gonna be hard to do money lines in playoffs.
There is for DraftKings, there is a king of the end zone prop bet, which is going to give you a nice bonus bet if you bet it correctly. Sort of like the king of the court prop bet that we were doing, where if you pick the right guy in NBA to go off and have the best stat line. You pick the right guy to get into the end zone. There's one for Saturday, one for Sunday, and one for Monday. So, let's say like me, I went with Mark Andrews. So if Mark Andrews can get into the end zone twice on Saturday night.
And it's looking like he's probably going to be a target because Ian Rappaport said that Zay ain't playing. And that's just a little bit better for Pittsburgh's defense.
Yeah.
Because now you focus your energies on Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews, and hey, if Bateman or the other guys beat you, then so be it. That's how I look at it. Don't let Mark Andrews or Derrick Henry beat you. If Bateman or Wallace or the other guy or Aguilar is the one that beats you, so be it. Yeah. I'd rather they beat me than the superstars beat me.
And those are the 2 Saturday matchups. You've got the Texans versus the Chargers, and then the nightcap, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. In the first matchup, I'm going to say it right now. Call me a hater, whatever. I'm going with the Chargers to get the win. I trust them
with the Chargers too.
I think they're the team that's playing better football right now. And I am going with the LA Chargers. The connection between Herbert.
I see it.
Opt-in. There's opt-in for each day too. And what it does is if you get it correctly, you get a nice size bonus bet for it. It'll be a bonus bet of like Heather got that bonus bet of like $93 that one time because she bet correctly on Anthony Davis. But yeah, so I trust the Chargers more. I think the connection between McConkey and Herbert is at its peak right now.
I just not to mention now.
Josh Palmer,
Pat Fryer practice anytime touchdown.
Josh Palmer did not practice today for the Chargers. So if Josh
what
Palmer's
hurts
not
the Chargers, their receiving crew. Yeah. You don't know what Quentin Johnson you're going to get every week.
You don't. He looked better this past week.
You're going to get Quentin Johnson that's going to make the splash play, or you're going to make the Quentin Johnson that makes the unsplash play.
The drops are just a killer, bro.
Lad McConkey, he's going to ball, but then if he takes that one hit.
He's the one.
If he gets hit hard,
yeah,
he's going to miss time.
He's little.
So once you take McConkey off the field, it's Quentin Johnson, Palmer, a bunch of nameless gray faces.
Will Disley.
Yeah, so I still believe the Chargers should win this game. They are the better defense. Justin Herbert is the better quarterback. Harbaugh is the better coach than D'Amico Ryans. That's not taking anything away from D'Amico Ryans. D'Amico Ryans is a good coach. He's just won back-to-back division champions, taking the Houston Texans 2 times in a row. Hasn't been done since Bill O'Brien. But I'm going to go with the better quarterback, and that's the Chargers. That's the reason. The Chargers scare me, though, because the Chargers will do some weird shit in the playoffs to lose a game.
They got to limit the weird shit, and I think they'll be fine, honestly.
If they run the football and take care of the football and play defense, they should beat this game. Should be a 20-17 type game. It's going to be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give the edge
perfect.
To the Los Angeles Chargers.
21-17, 21-16 type of a game.
These are our playoff on the money picks.
I am once again ignoring history when it comes to the Chargers, and I am going to take the Chargers to win the first matchup of Wild Card Weekend, simply because I think that the Chargers don't even have to go out there and be flashy to beat the Texans. They can beat the Texans with fundamental football. Good defense, running the ball, and Herbert converting third downs into first downs. And again, I think it'll just be one of those instances where it is a low-scoring affair. So I'm going to take the Chargers with my first pick. The nightcap is tough, man, but I'm going to go with Baltimore.
My heart.
But the Baltimore's 1-3, dating back to 2002, I think it is, against the Steelers. So history indicates that the Steelers have the edge when it comes to these playoff matchups. I'm going with the fact that Lamar Jackson is playing like an MVP, looking like an MVP. He got the monkey off his back a couple weeks ago by beating Pittsburgh and putting points up and just looking better against them, which is one of those things that we were waiting to see because historically he struggles against them. And, you know, they've got that guy now that they didn't have before that they can bring into the fight, a guy by the name of Derrick Henry, who, when it comes to playoff football, he has had some big moments. And right now, on the flip side of it, I'm sorry, Oscar, but offense of the Steelers just doesn't look good.
Tragic.
Doesn't look good. And if a team going into the matchup with Pittsburgh already knows that they don't take your pass game seriously, you become a one-dimensional football team. And the Ravens are already a good run-stopping defense. So the key to your offense is the run game for Pittsburgh. And the strength of the Ravens' defense is that front seven and the teeth of that defense. Their weakness is the secondary, but you have a guy in Russ that they don't even trust to be able to get the ball downfield, and a wide receiver one who you definitely can't trust to be able to make the plays down the field that they need him to make. So it could be a big night for Pat Freiermuth. He could end up being the leading target getter for – it could be a big night for both tight ends in that matchup, Freiermuth and Mark Andrews. I give the advantage in this one to Baltimore, and I think that this could potentially be, to date, the biggest playoff win in Lamar Jackson's career. The fact that he's doing it against a team that for the most of his career has been able to do a phenomenal job at containing what makes Lamar Jackson so special. And a win like that can go a long way for a guy who it seems like is destined to take that trip to Kansas City. You know, like a win like that gives you the boost.
My heart says Pittsburgh, but my mind says Baltimore. I don't know how a team that's lost 4 games in a row can just forget about it. And
tough way to get into the playoffs.
Flick a switch. I don't see it. I mean, I don't think they can win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like it was earlier this month. But to me, that wasn't a blowout either earlier this month. That I think the score didn't dictate how the game really played out because Pittsburgh shot themselves in the foot in that game. Pittsburgh could have won that football game. I will say this. I think Baltimore is going to win. I think you're going to get a low-scoring game, and Russ is probably going to throw a pick in a crucial moment, or he's going to fumble the ball in a crucial moment. And
it's going to be the offense that cost them. It's going to be the offense, and you're going to hate the offense even more. You're going to be
and that's going to be that, and that'll be the end, and that's going to be a 5th year in a row. No, it's going to be an 8th year in a row of no playoff wins or 9, whatever it may be, and it's going to be a 5th loss in a row. And I don't know how anybody at the North Shore facility can go to the office the next day on Sunday, look in the mirror or look at their staff and say, we're running this back. Because significant changes should be made. And I'm the belief that as much as I love Mike Tomlin, the song and dance may have played on deaf ears long enough.
It's getting stale.
And you may have to make the switch.
It's getting stale.
You may not fire him, but you could nudge him to say, maybe you should resign. Because we don't want to fire you. We don't want to look bad. Because honestly, they wouldn't be at fault. Because this would be 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, 23, and now 24. You will be going into next year with the same question about how you haven't won a playoff game since 2016.
I know that the defense is going to show up because they always show up. I don't know if the offense is going to show up. And also, like I said with Lamar Jackson, like how big it is for him to get that off of his back, being able to beat them. Derrick Henry ran all over this team a couple weeks ago, a team that he historically struggles against. Steelers have locked down Derrick Henry for the majority of his career. So for him to take the lid off like that, I think it bodes well for Baltimore going into Saturday night. I think that their offense,
I will say this,
is going to be running on all cylinders.
It's tough to play a team again a third time. Because for both sides.
It's even tougher when the offense can't get going.
Here's the difference. Baltimore's not going to do anything that's going to surprise Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's not going to do anything that's going to surprise Baltimore. So you're both are just looking at each other and saying, bring me your best shot. And whoever's best shot is going to win. Like I said, I believe Baltimore is going to win. And I believe once that happens, significant changes need to be made.
Eric. What up, Eric?
And if that means Tomlin has to go, then Tomlin has to go because, the quarterback room's different. The offensive coordinator's different. But it's the same freaking result.
I think that if Derrick Henry's breaking away for those 9 to 11-yard runs early, it's going to be a long night for Pittsburgh. Eric poses an interesting question, and it's the third matchup that we're going to get into, the first matchup for Sunday. Can the
Denver
Broncos
Buffalo
upset the Bills, bro? Can you imagine?
I am on the Orange Crush bandwagon.
That's got to be one of the worst first-round matchups for you.
I don't understand why everybody is counting Denver out.
Why would you? Have you not watched them this year? Have you not seen them?
Their defense is really, really good.
Pick sixes all year long.
Their whole point is to stop the run.
Cortland Sutton, a dog. Bo Nix.
Listen, Pat Surtain is going to lock down whoever's next to him. And that white boy they got is just as good. I just can't remember his name.
Bro, it's the worst possible matchup for you.
I think this game,
contender. You going Denver?
If Denver stays, if it gets close, I like Bo Nix. Now, do I like Bo Nix the following week in Kansas City? No.
Dude.
I like Bo Nix Sunday afternoon.
Man, that's tough, bro. I think the Bills are
Could you imagine this? Happen. Could you imagine Pittsburgh and Denver won on the same weekend? That's basically saying, here you go, Kansas City.
I think Kansas City's going to beat everybody regardless. I don't care.
I don't know if they're going to listen.
It doesn't matter.
I don't know if they're going to beat Baltimore
because you still got to go and do it. You know?
I don't know if they're going to beat Baltimore.
People have to get the ghost out of the closet.
I think Baltimore this time. I know, they played week 1. That don't mean shit because they're not the same team anymore.
If you think the Steelers can beat Baltimore, guess what? That means Kansas City can beat Baltimore. If you think the Steelers have a shot, then Kansas City.
I'm only saying that because they're division opponents. If they weren't a division opponent, I wouldn't be saying that.
If the Steelers have a shot, Kansas City is winning that game.
Allen is a beast, but that Denver defense, they're no joke.
Denver defense are dogs, bro, and they've been good against damn near everybody. Pick sixes, and let's not forget this is the time of year where
take a pick.
Josh Allen gets a little woozy.
Am I bringing you to the dark side?
But I'm still picking Buffalo. I'm picking Buffalo. It's a slight edge too. I don't think this is going to be a blowout because I don't think Denver is going to. I think Denver's going to play them close. They're going to play them tough. They're going to have Buffalo. I say this game right here is going to show people that Buffalo may not be ready to go and win the big one for another year. Because I think that the Buffalo Bills barely survived this game. And we're having a conversation the following week about, the Bills just, once again, another year of them
getting into the playoffs.
And I don't think they did. So it's an unfamiliar matchup, too. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember that matchup happening during the season. I could be wrong. But, bro, Bo Nix is the real deal. This defense is the real deal. Courtland Sutton is a true wide receiver one. He's the best wide receiver in that game. Broncos.
The Broncos have only given up 311 points on defense.
Under, I don't know what the over-under is. I'll probably explore it when we get closer to Sunday because that's where the true over-under is going to, show itself. I'm not good at betting unders, so I'm in no position to advise anybody to take the under on anything because whenever I bet the under, everybody goes crazy and goes over. So don't look to me for help on the under. But you guys make a compelling argument for why Denver can win this game, and it is the Buffalo Bills. These guys are choke artists, man. They're choke artists, no matter what they did this year. And you've noticed they've been kind of quiet the last couple weeks to end the season. Buffalo wasn't really lighting it up like they were before. It's been a quiet December for the Buffalo Bills, and it wasn't like they were on a losing streak going into the playoffs, but they weren't red hot going into the playoffs either. It's not like you can feel really good about where this offense is right now, like where Baltimore is and, where some other teams are where they've been able to just start lighting shit up, so I'm taking the Bills. I don't feel good about it though. I'm just, the rookie quarterback going into Buffalo, the elements, I'm putting all that into, I'm factoring in all of that, but it's going to be a hell of a dogfight there. But I'm going to take the Bills. So far, I've got the Chargers, I've got the Ravens, I've got the Bills, and now we switch over to the NFC side. And the big question with the first matchup, Bills choke, dude. History unfortunately repeats itself with Buffalo, and it very well can. I'm here saying it right now. Hey, I think the Bills are going to win, but I also think that this game is going to expose the Buffalo Bills, and it's going to show people that the Buffalo Bills, even if they win this weekend, are not going to be able to be ready to go to Kansas City and get that monkey off of their back when it comes to beating the Chiefs. Because if you're struggling to get past Denver, you're not going to be able to beat the team that has owned you for the last few years. I'm sorry. Just don't equate. We all think that the Chiefs are better than the Denver Broncos when everybody's fully staffed. So why would the Bills be any better than the Chiefs if a lot of us are picking Denver to win this weekend? I'm playing the matchup here. I'm giving the Bills a slight edge, but I'm telling you, I don't feel great about it. I don't feel great about this next game either, man, but I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. I'm going Green Bay. I'm going with the Cheeseheads. Still unsure of Jalen Hurts playing, and I'm sorry, but I don't have supreme confidence if Jalen Hurts comes back to play. He's not at 100% right now, and we're going into Thursday now. He's not 100%. He hasn't been cleared.
I'm going Philly because if Jordan Love plays, I don't think Malik Willis is beating the Eagles.
If Jordan Love doesn't play.
Yeah. If Jordan Love plays, it might have me to change.
Dude, what if we get Tanner McKee versus Malik Willis?
Then Malik Willis would be Tanner McKee.
That's tough. That's one you take the under on right there. As if we get Malik Willis and Tanner McKee starting for the Packers and Eagles, you take the under all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Denver plays in the elements. It snows out in Denver. They're not, they ain't worried about the cold out there. It gets chilly out there for them. Mile High Stadium. So that I'm not going to put weather into account. I'm more considering the fact that it's a rookie quarterback going into Buffalo. Yeah, Buffalo should beat them, but again, this is probably the worst possible matchup that you want as a 2 seed. Like you want to avoid Denver right now.
Well, they ain't gonna mess with Denver. Denver plays in cold.
Yeah, I'm going with Green Bay. I'm gonna take Green Bay. That's if Jordan Love don't play, then okay, yeah, of course I'm I'll change to Philly. But if Jordan Love is there, they got their pieces there. I think that Green Bay is more than capable of pulling the upset in Philly. They have created the reputation for themselves of being able to pull the upsets. They've done it in the playoffs. Look what they did to Dallas. When they went into Dallas and made them cry. There's a chance that they're going to go into Philly and make people cry over there too. I think their offense is just going to be more cohesive than the Philadelphia offense. And that's just me. And I could be wrong. And I know Eagles fans will be ready to remind me that I'm wrong if I am. But if I'm right,
they already
if I'm right,
clicked 1 minute at 1 hour, 35 minutes, 34 seconds.
Yeah, they freeze framed it, whatever they got to do. But if I'm right, it won't even be a conversation anymore because all those Eagles fans are going to be wearing their Phillies jerseys. They're not going to be trying to talk about what happened to the Eagles. So I already know how it goes. I've played this game with this fan base for a couple years now, and I already know their patterns. Of course, you guys think you're going to win the Super Bowl. You say that shit every year. You got one. You got it right once in 80 years. So whatever. I'm going Green Bay. Nobody wants to watch that at 4:30. Yeah, that would be nasty work on Sunday at 4:30 if it's Malik Willis versus Tanner McKee. That would be nasty work.
Sunday night,
Woo!
I got Baker
Shootout.
Bacon.
This one's a shootout right here.
Jaden Daniels' historic rookie season comes to an end as Baker and the gang are going to the next round of the playoffs.
They did play earlier in the season, and the Bucs did beat them comfortably. Also, though, that loss right there was kind of where Washington turned things around for themselves, where they went from being a 2-2 team that you didn't really know about, and they started streaking.
Yeah.
And they got themselves in the position that they're in now. So they've got this matchup circled, and they're watching the film of what happened the first time these two teams matched up. And I think this is the game of all 6 that has the shootout potential written all over it. I'm also going to go with Tampa Bay, though. I am not going to bet against Baker Mayfield right now. I think that the Washington Commanders have a great shot in this game, but I'm not betting against Baker, Bucky Irvin, Mike Evans. Now, can that Tampa Bay Bucs defense get a couple stops? That's going to be the key thing to look for in this matchup here. Can the Tampa Bay Bucs slow down Washington enough for the Bucs to be able to get 2 possession leads and cruise from there? I already know, what Bucky is like. Can either defense get stops? I guess is fair to say. Can the Commanders slow down the Bucs? Can the Bucs slow down the Commanders? Whoever blinks first. But I think that Tampa is going to go out there. They're going to drop 40, and Baker is liable to get
Jalen McMillan. That rookie has really come along.
He's a star, dude.
In the last month of this season,
he's a star.
That leads us to our last game Monday night: Minnesota versus the Rams. I'm going with the Los Angeles Rams.
I can't go against the Rams, because I've been on this podcast, pounding the table for the Rams since August when we were making our predictions, when we were making our picks. My on-the-money picks for the Super Bowl was Rams versus Chiefs. My DraftKings pick for the Super Bowl is Rams versus Chiefs. And I think that right now, the way that the Rams have been able to ramp up their level of intensity on the defensive side of the football is going to be the X factor. They're going to be able to get a couple stops on the Minnesota Vikings. From that point on, I see the Minnesota Vikings playing from behind, whereas all the Rams have to do is maintain the lead. And when you've got Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, and dare I say Cooper Kupp, I think that the Rams are going to be able to handle this game and get themselves, let's say, 34-23 type of victory, 31-20. I think it'll be a couple possessions, and the Rams are going to eliminate what has been one of the great stories in football this year in Minnesota, a team that, safe, like they weren't even supposed to be here, but they are. I think it'll be a decent game on Monday night, but I got the Rams all day.
It's not a bad deal.
Yep.
I think we're even
Rams
over everything.
Yeah, the only difference is you took the Eagles, I took Green Bay, you took Denver, I took Buffalo, and everything else that's really it. But yeah, that's what I'm rolling with. That's what I got for Super Wildcard Weekend. Some fun matchups. There's some fun matchups. I'm looking at everything. You got the rivalries. You've got some unfamiliar teams playing each other. You got some like powerhouses when it comes to Minnesota versus the Rams. So the shootout potential. A lot of question marks surrounding a lot of the important factors in the Green Bay starters and the Philadelphia starters. I think this weekend gives us a little bit of everything. He did look rough last week, so I don't know if that bodes well for this week going up against a team the caliber of the Rams.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see, man. This is why we play the game. It was great to be back tonight. I missed doing the podcast. Like we said earlier at the top of the show, holidays and health and everything it made the last month a little bit tough for us to do what we do. We're going to do what we can to get back on our consistency, which the consistency is what made us who we are and what's gotten us to this point as far as the Mega Powers and On the Money Sports and delivering each and every week, doing what we do best. We're going to try to get back to that as best we can. We hope everybody out there, has a great week. Hope that the new year is starting off well for you. And I hope that you guys enjoy Wildcard Weekend. I'll be at work Saturday night and Monday night, so I'll be watching half the games at work. Sunday I'm off. I'll be visiting my mother, so I'll be watching a lot of football over at my mom's place, having some of her food, which I miss, hanging out with my brothers, catching up with them, playing a little pool, and talking to these guys about what we're watching, about what is transpiring, and then kind of booking the next week's show pretty much from there, from what we see.
100%.
Yeah.
It never stops. We're back.
We're back, baby.
We'll see you again next week and get ready to break down the divisional round of the playoffs. See where we go from there. How much closer are we? Here we go.
On the Money Sports, baby.
Navy blue next year, guys.
Oh, it's gonna look so good. You're not gonna be seeing these next year because we're wearing the two-tone blue. We're On the Money Sports. We're posing for the family picture. Both belts on, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait. Danny, bring back my belt. It no longer belongs to you, sir.
I failed this city.
You let the league down.
See